This presentation is on strategies and tools used in Agile mindset in education. Agile is a project management philosophy which utilizes a core set of values or principles. Agile, as mentioned in the previous section, is less about the methodology, but it is about cultivating Agile teams and environments for a team to learn how to be Agile. And in this section, we're going to delve a little bit more into the methodologies and technicality, which is including Scrum and Kanban methodologies. There are differences and different beneficial points in each of these methodologies. In Scrum, it is great for creating momentum in stagnant projects. It's also good for new innovative projects, and it focuses on adding values. In Kanban process, it has focus on improving process. So if you already have projects that are going on where it could use improvement in process, making it more efficient, Kanban may be something that you might consider. Waterfall methodology is a traditional method which walks through the process step by step in terms of accomplishing different steps of the work and projects. Waterfall takes linear step-by-step approach. It is beneficial in using this methodology when you already know what the project outcome is, what the process is, and it's a repeated process, and it's already all planned out from beginning to the end. Sometimes waterfall methodology can be very beneficial in these situations. What is Scrum? It's a framework which addresses complex adaptive problem while productively and creatively delivering values. It was derived from rugby. It describes restarting a play that involves players packing closely together with their heads down, attempting to take possession of the ball. So as you can imagine in this setting, there's a cross-functional team that comes together to do this. Scrum is also a methodology, which is a set of meetings, tools, and roles that work together to help teams structure and manage workflow through sprint goals to facilitate a project. Some of the key elements of Scrum include self-organization. Scrum believes that workers have more knowledge and delivers great value when self-organized. Often this process has more intrinsic motivation and autonomy in the project process. Prioritization, delivering the greatest value in the shortest amount of time, which again focuses on efficiency of the projects. Collaboration, shared value creation process that need all the stakeholders working and interacting together. Time boxing, which is enforcing maximum time for any given event. Iterative delivery, which is a model that is more flexible in ensuring that any change requested can be included. Lastly, value-driven delivery. It is important to understand what adds value versus what does not. Scrum process starts with initiation of creating a project vision, conducting release planning. Then it moves on to plan and estimation, which is approving, estimating, committing user stories, creating tasks, and creating goals and sprints. Once these sprint goals are created, you move on to implementing the sprints, which includes creating deliverables, conducting daily stand-up meetings. These are short stand-up daily meetings with team members that you work closely with to talk about the plan for the day, areas that you need to improve. And then you review and retrospect, which is gathering additional stakeholders' input, reflecting and validating sprints. Lastly, you have to release deliverables while keeping continuous feedback and improvement cycle in mind. Here's a sample of sprint process. Day 1, you may plan, break down backlog into smaller tangible pieces, assess and size the item for complexity, and in this planning process may involve creating smaller tasks, which is burn down chart and other tools that will be talked about later. And then once you are done with the planning, you move on to do section in day 2 to 9 as you're testing and implementing sprint goals and tasks. Produce working solution by day 9 is the goal at that point. And your product owner needs to sign off criteria. And then by 10, it's a checkpoint where you review product produced with the product owner against the sign-off criteria. And then also that can be in the morning, and in the afternoon, you can have lessons learned and implement immediately into the next step, which is another sprint goals at that point. So this is just a sample of how sprint goals can be implemented. In Scrum process, there are 3 distinctive roles. Product owner, who is the holder of product value. This person determines what needs to be done and set the priorities to deliver the highest value possible. This can be compared to traditional approach of controlling the work. So it's a little bit different concept. Then you have Scrum Master, who's a servant leader, protecting the Scrum process and preventing distraction. Not only preventing distraction, this person also removes barrier and makes the process more efficient. And then you have development team. This is a self-organizing group. The team takes on and determines how to deliver chunks of work in frequent increments. This is different than traditional approach of being told what to do by the project manager. So as you can compare traditional to agile approach in Scrum process, there is more interwoven network of communication and touch points between different stakeholders and different roles being served in the Scrum process. So it can improve communication as well as everybody being on the same page in terms of what the work and the process that's being done, especially when it's being delivered frequently through smaller tangible goals. So frequent touch point within the team as well as with the product owner and then the stakeholders involved is the benefit of the agile approach. Some of the elements of skills in the Scrum team are that the team members are independent, self-motivated. They also serve both as generalists as well as specialists. They are customer-faced. They work very collaboratively. The benefit of Scrum team includes fast decision-making, improved communication, continuous innovation and improvement, back up each other. Because of these benefits that we talked about, a lot of companies utilize Scrum methodologies. So in this PowerPoint slide, we have software side, banking side, service and products. And here we are talking about how we can implement this methodology in an educational setting. We're going to move on to Kanban methodology. Kanban is a Japanese word. Kan means visual and ban means signal. And it's a visual system that really describes both the process and the actual work passing through the process. It is also a methodology. It's a means to design, manage, and improve flow system for knowledge work. The method also allows organizations to start with their existing workflow and drive evolutionary change. Here is an example of Kanban board. So it's very simple process. You have backlog, to do, in progress, and complete. And underneath each of these sections, you have different tasks. And visually being able to see sometimes when the to-do gets too long versus in progress or complete, then you have to, as a project manager, reassess what's the holdup. So this visualization helps with the workflow and improving the efficiency of the process. Kanban process can start with the visualization of workflow. You can map out this process, as we have seen in the example previously. And then you apply work in progress, which allows limited amount of work to be in any given column at a time. So again, it's a control of workflow. You don't want one column accumulating too many tasks in comparison to the other columns. You have to make the criteria explicit. The step is for planning. This will impact your project very positively. And then you manage and measure flow. You optimize speed and quality all at the same time. You have to assess the process and how work moves through this process. Last step is optimizing iteratively with data. So you collect data as you're moving along this process in the project. You measure where improvement is needed. One key example of Kanban process is Starbucks. Customer arrives at the store waiting for his or her coffee. You place an order. That process creates to-do list. Once you order, the barista start making. You make progress, you make coffee. So those are making progress part of the Kanban board. And then once you deliver the coffee is ready for the customer to be picked up. It's a done category of the Kanban board. So when you actually try to visualize the system, sometimes in the manufacturing or mass production process, you can visually see the waiting process for the customer is backlogging or it's holding up or is accumulating too much versus the other section. Then you have to make shift and change the workflow. For example, if ordering part is the hold up process, then you might move the barista to the cashier. They may see the hold up there and the barista will move there to improve the workflow. So this shift in managing staff and workflow becomes much easier when you're able to visually see through Kanban board. So Scrum and Kanban came later as an evolving of technology and project management, but what's more traditional is the waterfall method. It is a system that's most traditional for managing projects in comparison to the other two. And the team members are working in linear fashion in waterfall method towards a set end goals. So in this process, you come up with the requirement specification, you design, develop, and then you test and you implement, and then you find out what's not working and then you fix it. So it's a very linear process. And often you don't move on to the next step unless you're done with the previous step. So process itself starts with the requirement, which is the detailed understanding of the requirement from the designer and team members that are involved with the project. Then you design, breaking it up into logical and physical design subphases. You implement in sequential steps afterwards. You verify to ensure that the project meets expectation. When verification is finished, you maintain by changing and improving when mistakes are discovered. So this is more traditional, which evolved more into Scrum and Kanban methodology, which is more heavily used, especially in new, fast evolving projects. So Albert Einstein said, learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. And as an Agile manager, how you can relate to that quotation is, as Agile organizations, teams, and team members, we must constantly question what could be better in order to continuously improve. So there is no set right or wrong methodology. How you pick, how you hybridize different methodology is really up to the project manager and the team that's working and adapting through this process. We have to keep in mind that it's a continuous improvement cycle.